UCLA leaves the all-cupcake portion of its football schedule behind Friday night, and to be frank, I don't like the odds against 15th ranked Washington. Hi there, I'm James of Faithful Angelino Sports with your Week 5 preview for UCLA football. If you like the content that we put out, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We do talk UCLA sports here. So, if this were the Washington teams of yore, right? I would be perfectly willing to say that UCLA has the advantage, even though both teams are 4-0. The Huskies, for instance, they haven't won in Pasadena since 2018. Last year, Washington rolled out to an enormous 24-7 halftime lead before the Bruins rallied to win. But the Huskies knew what they had then wasn't working, and so they made drastic changes. They hired Kalen DeBoer as head coach. Now, he's the former Fresno State leader who led the Bulldogs to victory over UCLA last year. And that is one of many problems that they pose. Before he came to Washington, you see the Huskies, they were this power running team. They were a defensive-oriented team. What DeBoer did was he brought in an entirely different offensive concept that the players picked up on like that. And as a result, the offensive numbers went from 114th in the nation last year all the way up to 5. Meanwhile, their defense held steady in the top 25. So they did nothing but gain. They weren't half a team anymore. They're much more complete. More importantly, the Huskies have become the 4th team to fear in the Pac-12, which kind of supplants UCLA. And that mattered. I mean, if you were looking at all the preseason talk, you're going online, maybe you buy a magazine, it said, okay, you definitely have to be concerned about Oregon. You definitely have to be concerned about Utah. And wow, USC made all these changes. Maybe they're the 3rd team to fear. But UCLA, they could probably surprise somebody if they play their cards right. They should probably be the 4th team to fear. And that's not the case anymore. It's Washington right now. They are not. UCLA now is facing their clearest threat of the year. And the Bruins haven't exactly run smoothly this year. Sure, they had an easy victory last week in Colorado. Sure, the game against Alabama State was an easy W. But the other cupcakes that they played exposed flaws with the Bruins. For example, Bowling Green, they exposed flaws in the special teams. And they damn near lost to South Alabama. So UCLA has to play a complete game. What DeBoer brought, well, his offense is not exactly the air raid like at SC, and it's not exactly the spread like what Chip Kelly coached over in Oregon. He will run a lot of 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end. He will often, however, add an H-back, sort of a tight end that just kind of goes back and forth right behind the line of scrimmage, kind of a moving fullback. There's lots of motion, there's lots of passing. And then he brought in Michael Penix from Indiana, the quarterback, who picked that offense up immediately. And he leads the nation, the entire nation in passing with 1,388 yards, 12 touchdowns. And you're sitting there going, okay, well, let's double his favorite receiver. But you can't, because 4 wide receivers have double digits in receptions. 3 of them have scored more than 1 touchdown. So you can't say this is his favorite target, because you'd be wrong. It could be that guy. It could be any number of 4 receivers. And they circulate the running backs in as well. The Huskies have scored the fewest points they have scored this year is 39. Last year, they only scored more than 30 twice last year. So in my opinion, UCLA's best defense might be to play deep, 2 or 3 backs deep, and to force Washington to take smaller gains. The reason I say this is the Bruins, they don't create the turnovers that, say, USC does. They also don't generate a ton of sacks. Washington has more sacks, for example, than UCLA. So the longer the drive, the bend but don't break idea that you hear and kind of despise, but the longer the drive, especially for a team that doesn't run as much as they used to, is the more opportunities for the Huskies to make mistakes, and maybe Penix gets impatient. When UCLA is on offense, there is a place for Dorian Thompson-Robinson to exploit. Washington has had to replace 3 defensive backs due to injury. The Huskies, they come into the year, they have blue chippers at defense on all 3 levels. Defensive linemen Zion Tupuola-Falui and Latuli Gasanoa. They have a couple of linebackers they like, Carson Bruner and F1 Olafashio. So they can pressure with those guys. But if the Bruins get any protection at all from their tackles, they can put up points too. UCLA might not have 4 players with double digits in receptions, but Casimir Allen's 20 receptions, Jake Bobo's 15 against a weakened secondary, yeah, I like their odds of moving the ball. And when a defense plays aggressive, that's going to leave holes to exploit. That's where Zach Charbonnet has tremendous impact if he's healthy. Screen plays, draw plays. So you might be thinking this game sounds like a shootout, and you'd be right. But if UCLA doesn't bring their best, they're going to lose. The special team goofs in week 1, needing to rally against South Alabama. They've had years to master what Chip Kelly wants. Washington, again, they picked it up immediately from Kalen DeBoer. They're better organized. They know what they want to do, but they want to do it fast. And that's, like I'm saying, is the key. If UCLA can force the Huskies to rethink things, to double guess themselves, that's their best shot. Plus, if UCLA comes out with, wait a second, we were supposed to be the team that was supposed to shock the world mindset, not you guys. Now, if you enjoyed this clip, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelino Sports. We do talk UCLA football here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.